ready.
I know I'm late to the party, it took me a while, but here I am with my review of the Kamino clone trooper from the new line of Star Wars Black Series. I say line because they finally changed the packaging. The outside of the package is great, but it's not that much of an improvement for me because it's just like a dull gray in the background and it looks so bland. Like, I know it's a Black Series, but come on, could they not have had that color, like, also in the background, or make the background black, too? I hate that gray background. It looks like just gray cardboard. It looks so cheap. Let's just talk about this new package, because I've kind of talked about it a little bit, and I feel like my feelings towards this gray in the back have kind of soured over time. Great artwork, depicting a realistic interpretation of the Kamino clone trooper, which is basically just a gray shock trooper, which is cool though. And then as the back read up, the Republic clone troopers represent the future of galactic warfare. So symbolic cough time. So symbolic were they of the times. The galaxy-wide conflict that saw their debut took its name from their ranks. The Clone Wars. Whoa! That's cool. Yeah, there's a box. Hey, it's number 1. Whoa! Yep, there's the box. Well, I threw it. Here's the figure. This is our new clone trooper mold. This is what Hasbro has given us. They decided to give us a new clone. And yeah, he's got a big helmet. It's so funny. I complained about the Stormtrooper having a tiny helmet, but his helmet's huge. It just, man, it look. Oh, I hate to say it, man. It looks like they took like a normal clone trooper figure and just slapped like a Funko Pop head on it. Like, it stylistically, size-wise, and everything, like, the helmet has slightly grown on me, but that's not saying much, because I don't understand a whole line that has strived to be realistic interpretations of animated characters, purely realistic, made the new clone helmet animated style. Don't believe me? Here is the actual animated clone trooper figure that they released back when the Phase 2 armor was first kind of debuting in the show. It's based off of this animated look. It doesn't have the black visor trim. It has kind of like a more curved mouthpiece. It has a more pinched-in visor. It's the animated helmet on a realistic body. Oh, his gun just fell out. I don't understand it. I don't understand the decision. I don't understand what they were thinking. I don't think it looks particularly good. It looks huge. He looks so thin-shouldered and giant helmeted. I don't know, some poses look better than others, but man, I'm not like calling it bad, man, but here, let's just, I already compared the helmet. Let's just bring in the original Black Series clone mold, the Phase 2, particularly my favorite version of it, the 212th, because I'm biased. Look at the helmet size. It's not much, but just that little bit of difference, and the body proportion just makes all the world of difference. This feels and looks more like a guy in a suit of armor, especially with the arms and the shoulder proportions. And this just, that helmet, man, it just, like, look at the shaping of it. It is the animated helmet. Like, it is the animated helmet. I just can't tell you what they were thinking, man. I really can't. Ever since they revealed this thing, I have been absolutely mind-boggled why they did that with the helmet. But it is an entirely new figure. As you can see, it's entirely new. Another thing I don't understand is they entirely decided to make a brand new clone. You can see the proportions of the armor are really different. Hell, even the arms are longer on the old one. Funny, though, because the new one is slightly taller. I don't get it. I don't get why they felt the need to make a new one. Because this essentially accomplishes the same things as this. I mean, I understand that not having the double joints and having a fewer part count makes the cost cheaper. But doesn't it also cost a lot to fully develop a brand new body? Like, doesn't that cost a lot? And if you're saying, oh, well, they wanted to have this for removable helmets, they could just use, like, the body they had for Wolf that was already implemented to have a head that could have a removable helmet. I don't understand. Because one of the few improvements this does have is the shoulders. The shoulders, the armor can now just move up above it. Does it look weird? Yeah, because the rubbery shoulder armor is just flexing over the shoulder. It looks weird. It doesn't look natural. They should have done something like the Stormtrooper. And this one, like, sure, it kind of goes over a little bit, but it looks a little more natural at least. And I honestly doubt actual clone troopers could lift their arms higher than this. Like, this is kind of all the range you need. This looks so much more natural to me. Like, let's do that classic, like, Phase 2 running pose. You know, the 501st did that? Like, let's do that. You can get the head up real high. You can still get the legs decently forward. Like, look at that. That looks really natural to me. Like, there's nothing wrong with this original body. And then you get this new one, and the legs, like, they kick out way further. Like, look at that. This is a clone corner, so you're going to get a super in-depth review. Look how much further, like, the legs are, like, off to the side with the new mold when they're all the way forward. Like, this one, all the way forward, they designed it so it's still pretty much a straight bend. It's a little off, but it's fine. This one is way off, and you have to use this knee swivel to get it right, and now the knee armor doesn't line up. And the range of the knee, by the way, range of the knee, in case you're wondering, it's not even an improvement. It's a little less. It's about the same, but it's a little less than the original. Like, maybe just a smidgen less. It's about the same. I don't even think it looks as good. Sure, it doesn't have the pins, but like every 6-inch action figure has had pins for the better part of 20 years. I'm used to it. I don't know, man. The reason why this review, it like, don't worry, it'll get more positive, but I struggle to comprehend why this exists. I just do. Because the Stormtrooper, right? I really liked the new Stormtrooper because it did really unique, interesting things, especially with the shoulder pads, and the elbow range and everything was still really nice. It looked better than the original. The helmet was better than the original. This one, it doesn't look better. The helmet is animated when it's not. Like, even on the package, it had the black trim. This one doesn't. It's the animated helmet. And let's talk about these elbows, because the elbows on this old one, this is the not Captain Rex mold. This is the normal mold. You got about 90 degrees of bend, right? Not the greatest. The Captain Rex version gives you more bend. So we already have a nice elbow in the 6-inch Black Series. This one, though, it can bend just about a smidgen over 90 degrees. But if you go any higher, if you think, oh man, I could do it higher, you're going to break it. I think it was Fwoosh's review where he kept bending it up and up, and this band on the elbow pad like was actually starting to tear from where he was seriously like pinching it. And this piece is its own separate piece. So if they're worrying about parts count while at the same time having another parts count. Like, I don't get it. And he has a butterfly joint now that accomplishes basically nothing. I mean, the Stormtrooper's butterfly actually really helped with poses. This one, the butterfly does nothing really. Like, look, the butterfly does nothing for the arms pinching in. The butterfly does nothing. Like, look at that. Look at how little range you get with that butterfly joint. What's the point? And like this one, the arm, the sculpt, it goes in about the same. I just don't get it. I don't get it. The heads, then. Comparing we've basically this is a very different review. We're, like, comparing it. The waists are about the same. Knees, we've established, like, they get about the same range, but this one looks a little weirder. The ankles are about the same. They move down, they move up, they pivot. The ankles are about the same, honestly. I do think the old ones do look better, because I think the old one just overall looked better. The hips work better on the old one. The knees work better on the old one because the hips work better on the old one. The elbows, honestly, I think they look better on the old one, even though they have the pin. And the shoulders, they look better, but they don't function as good on the old one. And then the heads. This helmet we've established, it's not perfect, but it's damn near it. This is a really good helmet sculpt. It's a little off. Like, maybe this helmet is maybe 5% off. This is a 95% match for how they look in the movie, right? Really good helmet. This one, it's basically the animated helmet, but it's not even the full animated helmet. Like, it's like an amalgamation of the, like, that's the animated look. It doesn't have that detail. It's like an amalgamation of the realistic and the animated. I don't know what they were thinking. It doesn't have the black trim, so that means it's animated, right? But, anyways. Wait until you get to the conclusion. Just wait until you get to the conclusion, because you're going to be surprised. But, the head on this one can move up about this far, right? Head on the old one can move up the same. They can move up the same. And yet again, look at the height difference. Look at the height difference. Downwise, this head can move down that far. This head can move down that far. The old one can move down further. Wow. But this one can tilt. This one can tilt, guys. It can tilt and then it can go, whoa, whoa, whoa. This one, unfortunately, cannot. Oh, well. I mean, definitely like a detriment. Definitely an improvement that this one can. But at the same time, like, it looks weird. And also, it does have like that Tamora Morrison head underneath. And mine is glued on a little wonky. If the head underneath was straight, this is how the helmet's sitting on the head. It's crooked. It's a little crooked. So that means that you can see that piece of the helmet is sitting a little lower than that one. And it's just a little misshapen, just a little bit. This one, though, you don't have to worry about that. It's perfectly symmetrical. It's fine. You don't have to worry. It looks good. It looks crisp. It looks nice. Honestly, man, I'm team old mold all day, right? I think the old mold looks better. I think it, you know, kind of functions better. But here's the conclusion. This figure's fun as hell. This figure is fun to pose. Sure, it doesn't look as good. It doesn't functionally work as good, but it feels fun as frick, man. Let's do that pose that I was talking about with the, like, that Found Your First Running pose. Like, it may not look as good because it has the weird helmet that's not really accurate to anything. It may have the weird bend, but, like, it feels satisfying to move. Like, look at that. It looks kind of goofy, right? Especially with that thigh and, like, it looks like it's a goofy pose. He can't pose that well, right? Like, he just can't. But it's fun. This figure's fun to mess with. I just have fun messing with it. I've been messing with it all day. So, what we have on our hands is, like, on paper, a superior figure. In practice, an inferior figure. But what we have is a fun figure. He's fun. Another funny thing, too, the weapons are actually kind of new. And these new weapons are more rigid. Like, it's funny, this weapon's more rigid than the old ones. Like, you can see that's a little warped, and that one's not. So the weapons are an improvement. Like, that's a more rigid weapon. It looks good. The weapons on the Kamino clone look good. And he holds them well, too. Like, he does hold them well. The wrist articulation, basically, you can see it there. And it basically functions the same as the old one. So that's not really a major difference there. Overall, man, like I said, I gotta side with the old one in general. I don't feel like they should have abandoned that mold ever. And they're not, seemingly. They're still going to be using it for the lieutenant, probably for the airborne trooper whenever that comes out. But for this guy, for the Ahsoka trooper, probably for any, like, if they make a new 501st, they're not going to re-release the one from that set. They're just going to use this mold. And honestly, yeah, the helmet looks weird. It's proportionally a little lanky. It's kind of like the Vintage Collection Clone Trooper that's a little lanky, but it's still, like, on paper really nice. Honestly, man, this review may have seemed kind of negative. I feel like some people may have already clicked off just because they think I'm whining and complaining. But to the people who actually decided to stay and listen to my full, comprehensible opinion on it, it's a figure, man. It's a new clone. It didn't need to exist. It does. It's a good figure. It's one of those things where it's good, right? But if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And you fixed it, and you fixed it differently and not necessarily better. I don't know. Like, I think that's a good way of putting it. Like, they decided to fix something old that wasn't even broke in the first place, and they fixed it differently, but it's not really better. It's just different. And if you like the changes, if you like the lack of pins, if you prefer kind of just the elbow pads not really lining up more naturally like on this one, like if the pins bugged you that much, then this really helps. But me personally, I'm going to side with the bigger, more faithful shoulder pads and the realistic helmet sculpt that's a more, like, real, accurate size. I'm going to side with the old mold all day. But the new ones, I like it. It's not bad. I don't know, man. I think I'm done talking. There it is. The new Kamino clone. After all this time, I finally reviewed it. I'll review the 332nd when I get that. And there we go. This exists. This is a figure that exists. Thank you, Hasbro. I'm happy they made it. I wish they would have made it back when they were still making them like this. But, oh well, I guess I can do that myself, right? Alrighty, guys. Make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. Let me know your opinions on this guy. Do you not, really have issues with what I have issues with? Do you disagree with me? If you disagree with me, I'd love to hear you. I'm not looking for an echo chamber of comments here. Alrighty, guys. Form your own opinion. Form your own opinion on it. I'm going to log off. I've been rambling long enough. Have a good day, guys. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.